It's here for me, Mamuni Akwa Baba Melodies Podcast YouTube channel. So, na in Samaba, latest on a year announced partner Ahmed Niwono. Yes, minority members of Parliament. Omaba out hold the press conference. Kennedy Agyapong. Mo share in some can one too no. Yes, with yam rabbit just say with yam rabbit the constitution by laws be yeah nipa ema threads bi sana etiamra nipa ma thread bi sana etiamra na Kennedy Agyapong no a lawmaker. He needs to know better and he needs to be doing better. Now, even though Kennedy Agyapong in his defense no or can say or no the sansem no can fa Ahmed no or can say Ahmed eba ye ne two premises wa ne ye ne sa no on be so mo say nipa de say wokasa etia nipa kra Ghana emramu no etia intino enene asema aba ntin asema ne tintin ne titia ne say Kennedy Agyapong no esembra enini na omo dragi Kennedy Agyapong akọ privileges committee o share privileges committee committee bia say MPB ana lawmaker bi etiamra privileges committee no enini di na say omo sanction sa lawmaker no intino omo dragi Kennedy Agyapong akọ privileges committee say mobekaya embra Kennedy Agyapong one announce number 12 in sem no course wa majority leader eke bi ma announce no Kennedy Agyapong didi majority leader na tem Kennedy Agyapong didi majority leader na tem na sa ansem nso ma yetwen Kennedy Agyapong privileges committee but later no privileges committee drop sa ansem no intino minority aba abom the silence on this from the majority no enye na majority no mo amunim say Kennedy Agyapong na BBC na so mo aye din ewo ho na omo drag no akọ privileges committee no intino yanko fa some side be recorded from the press conference no yanko tie nsema omo editu dwa.
So why are you allowing him? You think that would have made difference? I doubt. But unfortunately, I couldn't have anticipated that. I mean, because if I were him, definitely I would not travel around this time. I would rather want to look to be sober. No, to be sober about the whole thing. Well, we all know. I mean, sometimes people say things that they don't really mean, but at the end of the day, it results in the hurt, and you feel sad because you reflect and put yourself in the person's shoe. But unfortunately, this didn't happen. So we didn't have any information. Parliament is not sitting. You couldn't have even known the person has sought permission. I doubt whether he's the type when he's even travel, he will even seek permission in the house to travel. So that's it. So we were not even aware of it. But even if we were aware, maybe apart from maybe screaming through the media that look, he's traveling, the police are not doing anything, and maybe to call the police, say, look, are you allowing to travel? You can't go and stop him from traveling.
Let's take the rest of the question. Let's take the rest of the question. But anti-gifty, if the person who says it late is criticized, what will you say about the person who hasn't spoken at all? Yeah, you can go ahead. Pardon?
In your submission or your response to the lady, you said that what country is this? In fact, masses are blaming politicians for the situation we are in today.
And they are right.
You politicians are the cause of trouble in Ghana today. What do you say to you as a politician?
Which particular trouble?
You said that what country is this we are in? And I'm saying that the situation we are in today as a nation, as you said, masses are blaming you politicians for the situation we are in today. And as a politician, what do you say to that?
Okay, why not?
Okay. Please, can you be clear so that we can move on?
What is the guarantee that Parliament itself will allow one of its own to be prosecuted? Because we have seen a situation where a journalist reports in Parliament, all of you come together and ensure that that reporter was removed from Parliament. Now that one of your own, as you rightly said, has been misbehaving for only God knows for some time now, when he's being called today, that's why police couldn't invite him. They don't need because they know if you should be invited, you politician again, you go to police headquarters or you mobilize your people to go there and destroy, stabilize and cause trouble. So the police are afraid of politicians.
Thank you. I think your point is made. Let's
the
lady.
Colleagues,
There's a lady, and then we'll come back to you. The last question. Can you speak to them? Just use the nearest.
Put that one off.
Last week.
Please, can you identify yourself and your media?
Sorry, my name is Evelyn. I work for Secretary.
Not everyone.
So last week, your party, the NDC, issued a press release and signed by your General Secretary, saying that people should not start pointing fingers at Agyapong, as that could affect the security persons for getting the right perpetrators to this crime. Now, what you are doing this morning is not contradicting what your party has come up with.
Okay.
any other?
My brother.
Thank you. My name is Simon again. I'm a report for the Accra Times. Listening to a statement read by Honorable Akalaga, it is clear that Honorable Agyapong is one of the least suspects. As we speak, is out of the source of this country. Take into consideration what the actions and inaction of the national security or the security agency. It shows that obviously this man is above the laws of this country and that this government.
Correct.
If NDC forms government tomorrow, what will you do?
We're arrested. First of all, we come from a
Okay,
government.
so is that the last one so that we can just add it and then do? Yeah, come and ask the last one so that we can.
Okay, thank you very much.
Colleagues, can we listen to ourselves?
Let's get the last one.
I would like to find out
Your name and then your media.
My name is Nana Popo. I report for Command.
Oh, no, please allow him. Please. No, please. No, go ahead. You are innocent. Yeah, give me employment.
Please.
I'm innocent.
Yeah.
In fact, you are not the suspect. You are not the suspect.
Hello. Please, can we allow
I
him?
assure you that you are not the subject matter of this person. Go ahead. You are very innocent.
Thank you very much.
And your medium is also very innocent. So
I want to find out. This is a serious matter. So when the matter came up, I'm really down because it's against our profession. Not even against our profession, but
it's criminal.
Yes. I only want to find out whether we are not over politicizing this matter.
Good question.
Well, Honorable Sweeney, yes, just
I'm not sure whether you are.
Thank you very much. And I will also proceed on the note that it is important that we approach this matter with all the, humility that we can gather, especially because of the families of Ahmed, Swale, and the many others who have lost their lives mysteriously in the last couple of months. And the last question relates to the first question, that politicians are to blame for the situation that we have. Because I am also a media man, I have practiced journalism for over a decade, I can say that to some extent, we in the media also further that assertion that politicians are to blame. I was discussing with somebody over the weekend that it's as if once you join politics, if you were a professional, anytime you speak again, it's as if you have lost your professionalism. So for example, if I were a medical doctor and then I joined the NPP or NDC, when I'm even speaking on issues of health, it is very easy for the media to dismiss my professional position and say I'm doing NPP and NDC politics. So when politicians raise critical issues, it is very easy for us to use our platforms to dismiss those issues. For example, when Kennedy Agyapong in the past said certain things, because politicians raised them and said something should be done to serve as a deterrent, we all stood by and looked on and said it's just politics. And we have treated his comments as just politics, until now we have a life lost on our hands. So I will say that it is not appropriate for us journalists to say politicians are responsible, because it is part of our duty to educate the populace. So if a politician is saying something that is reasonable, let us project it as such and not just say it is politics. So if, for example, we are here raising issues about Section 20 of the Act 29, Section 21 of Act 29, and you think it is reasonable, don't say we are just playing politics with it. Look at the issue about the human life that has been lost. Look at the law that has been raised and whether it is reasonable or not, and proceed without looking at the color of the people who are raising it. When you do that, then you just play politics. Like you are saying, you say it's just politics. So I beg you, the fact that the issue is raised by a politician does not make it political, once it is still a legal matter that has to be pursued to its logical conclusion. So I beg you, and maybe just a quick one, the leader will come in on the press statement that was issued by the General Secretary. We agree in total with our General Secretary that let's not scapegoat Kennedy Agyapong. The issue here is not about the murder of Ahmed Swale. We are not talking about the murder. The police must go on and find who killed him. We are not saying Kennedy Agyapong is responsible, but we are saying his utterances is false foul of the law, and we have quoted the law. Act 29, Section 21. We are saying those utterances, infringe those laws, and it's also unbecoming of a member of Parliament. But as for the murder, we are not saying Kennedy Agyapong is responsible. But the law says that yet. We are not saying he's responsible yet. But the law says that if you instigate, directly or indirectly, knowingly, and people commit it knowingly or unknowingly, you are guilty. So they may have even committed it without your knowledge, but you are still guilty. Your instigation may have been direct or indirect, you are still guilty. So that is the point we are making about these utterances and not the murder. Thank you.
Well, I mean, I wanted to say virtual about the same, because I said it earlier in the tree, where I said that what we are doing has nothing to do with the case. Because we believe that the police must pursue the perpetrators and deal with it as such. Our matter is our comment with regards to Honorable Kennedy Agyapong has to do with being our colleague. And remember when I was saying in the tree, I said it was my wish that this was being done by our colleagues on the majority side, so that we'll be supporting them, so that it takes away the perception of being partisanship. Because you see, a number of times where we are in our close circles, I mean, I can bet you, majority of members of Parliament are not happy about sometimes the way he carries himself and the things that he says out of anger. But you see, no matter how emotional you are, if there are checks and balance, it controls you. Because if you remember during the NDC era, when this about tribal thing, I hate repeating those things, because somebody might have not heard it, he may be hearing it for now. So I hate repeating them. When he made those comments, and if you remember, after his arrest, he went quiet. No, remember, he went quiet, because he knew that if you do it, you could be arrested again. But all of a sudden, he went haywire. I mean, Parliament is even look at when Parliament was investigating the matter through the Privileges Committee, he became a little bit sober. Then when we failed to act, then he went way high again. So it meant that if Parliament had concluded and taken the report maybe he wouldn't have made those comments. All we are saying is that he's one of us. Don't let me, as a member from Asawasi, also emulate from him. Because Parliament in action will be trigger tomorrow's Sweeney from Tamale North, or Muntaka from Asawasi, or what do you call it, any other member of Parliament to say that, why? What is good for the goose? Why is it not? Why can't it be good for the gander? That is our worry. And that is where, if you are not careful, it moves them from members of Parliament to you, the media, and to others. And then we have a society where we are not able to check ourselves. And once we fail to check ourselves, we'll fail to have a society. That's all we are saying. So this issue about being we are politicizing the issues. It's sad. I mean, my wish, believe me, if our colleagues from the majority, if my colleagues are from majority had decided to hold a press conference, say Saturday or even Friday or even this morning, believe me, I would advise that we join them. Why? So that we do it together. But unfortunately, they are quiet should not also keep us quiet. Because we think that that image is not good for all of us as members of Parliament. Because look, between you and I felt so ashamed when this thing happened. I mean, how do you explain to your constituents that a colleague of yours has said all this thing, and unfortunately it was underestimated today, and life has been lost? How could we? I mean, someone was asking, how could we have been that quiet as a house? Someone was asking, what will NDC do? My brother,